Tonight, we slip into a story buried beneath dust, shadows, and something a little stranger than fiction. The road you walk is silent. Gravel crunches beneath your feet, soft with ash, as though each stone has been ground down by centuries of forgotten footsteps. The path slopes downward into a valley where light no longer gathers easily. Above you, the sky is a deepening bruise, threaded with thin strands of cloud that move too slowly to be wind. You don't remember when you began descending, only that the air feels heavier now, drowsy with old heat. All around are the remains of something once organized. Not ruins, exactly. That word suggests drama, collapse, fire. No, this place wasn't destroyed. It was interrupted, preserved, settled into stillness like an exhale held too long. You step between the first low stone walls, their edges softened by time and lichen. Something brushes your sleeve, a shriveled vine, or perhaps the hand of a bush long dead. It doesn't matter. The plants here don't seem to know they should be alive. A town, if you can call it that, begins to take shape around you. Not all at once. It reveals itself shyly. The corner of a tiled roof still bearing traces of cobalt blue, a doorway warped by heat, a fountain bowl half buried in gray dust. One building leans into another, like old companions afraid to fall alone. And overhead, perched on a blackened archway, a weather-eaten statue watches without eyes. You can almost hear the town breathing. Not alive, not exactly, but held in a kind of pause. The kind of sleep that deepens with every year and forgets what waking ever felt like. Somewhere beneath your feet, people once slept too. That much is certain. So before you get too comfortable, gently tap like and subscribe. If drifting into the darker corners of forgotten history sounds like your kind of night. And tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it there? The wind shifts. It doesn't whistle. It doesn't howl. It sighs. And when it does, you catch the faintest trace of something burned and floral. Like lavender left too close to flame. There's a sign nailed crookedly to a doorframe ahead. The wood is bleached white. The letters are carved with clean precision, though the language is no longer spoken. But even so, something in your bones deciphers the message. Please do not wake the town. Now dim the lights, maybe light a candle. Maybe don't, and let's begin. You pass under the crooked lintel and into the shadow of the first house. The air cools by a few degrees. Dust floats in slow motion around you, stirred by your breath, not your steps. The interior is modest. A low hearth, a wooden bench cracked down the center, a bundle of something dark and furred in the corner. Once a cloak, maybe. Or once an animal. On the far wall is a shelf, and on it, 5 small clay figures. They stand in a line, identical except for the eyes. One is blindfolded. One has black stones pressed into its sockets. One stares with hollows only. One is turned backward. The last wears no face at all. You don't touch them. Outside, the wind carries a sound like water, but there are no rivers here. The maps don't show any. In fact, the maps don't show this town at all. That's where the story begins. In 1782, a merchant named Nicola Bellarosa claimed to have found a valley of vanished smoke somewhere in the southern Apennines. He left only 2 letters describing it, one to his cousin, one to the Bishop of Salerno, before disappearing on his return journey. The letters were dismissed as the ramblings of a man who'd inhaled too much sulfur in wine. But one of them contained a rough sketch. It showed this place, or something close, except his map included details you haven't yet seen. A collapsed bell tower with no church, a subterranean vault beneath the mayor's house, and something called La Strada del Sonno, the Street of Sleep. You're not sure what's more unsettling, that you found the town, or that it looks exactly as it did on a centuries-old map no one believed. You leave the house. The air presses closer now, as if the town notices you. To your left, a stairwell dips underground, half filled with fine gray powder. Each step you take sends up a puff that tastes faintly metallic. Below, you find a cellar. Casts line one wall. Shelves of dried herbs crumble to the touch. And in the center, a round table with 3 bowls, still full. Lentils. Something like olives. A 4th bowl lies smashed on the floor. There are no rats. No insects. Not even webs. As if nothing has dared claim this place. You rise again and step into the main avenue, such as it is. The buildings lean inward, bowing toward each other like mourners. The silence is almost too complete, until a single sound breaks it. A chime. You freeze. It's faint, almost imagined, but it came from just ahead where the tower stands. There is no bell in the tower. You follow the sound, or the memory of it, to a courtyard surrounded by low columns. The stone here is blackened, not by fire, but something slower. Smoke stains frozen in time. And at the center, a circular indentation in the ground, maybe 3 feet wide. Not a well. Not quite. It bears no mechanism, no rope, no bucket. Just a hollow. You lean in. Whisper your name. It does not echo. Instead, you hear a name returned. One you've never heard before. And yet, it sounds oddly like you. You step back. The town waits. There is a growing tradition among volcanologists and fringe historians. Those who study what are sometimes called orphan eruptions. Events undocumented, yet evidenced by layers of distant ashfall. That certain towns vanished without a record not because they were destroyed, but because they were meant to be forgotten. The idea is controversial. No one agrees what it would mean for a town to be intentionally erased. There are whispers of rituals, settlements that once thrived, then enacted mass disappearances, not through violence, through sleep. One such town, supposedly in southern Italy, was called Visuna Minor, the Lesser Visuna. No evidence has ever been found. Until now. You follow the street of cracked stones toward the tower. Its top is broken, open to the sky, but the chime came from below. Inside, the ground spirals downward. A staircase, not carved, but built from concentric rings. You descend. The air grows dry, then damp, then cold again. And at the bottom, a chamber, octagonal, lined with niches. And at the center, a bell. It's not suspended, not hanging. It rests upright, made of a black metal that hums faintly when your breath reaches it. There is no clapper, no mechanism to ring it. And yet it did. You take a step closer. Your foot knocks something small and round. A fruit. A pomegranate. Still red. Still wet. You do not pick it up. The niches around the wall each contain an item. A shoe. A doll. A vial of gray powder. A strip of cloth. A tooth. A town is not only remembered by its buildings. It is remembered by what it chose to bury. And this one, it buried everything. Later, when you try to leave, you will not remember the path you took. The sun will not be where you left it. The map will no longer match. But for now, the town breathes shallowly around you, not asleep, not awake. Something else. It has waited. And now, so do you. You wake in a house that was never yours. The ceiling above is low and wood-beamed, painted black by time or smoke. The air is unmoving. No breeze. No birdsong. Only the steady sound of your own breath and the faint, rhythmic drip, drip, somewhere beyond the wall. You sit up slowly. The cot beneath you groans like a voice too old to speak. Dust lifts in lazy spirals from your clothes. You smell earth and stone. And something else, faint, sweet, like rotting fruit in a forgotten bowl. You're still here. A small window frames the outside. Pale light sifts through broken shutters, revealing the same street. The same towers. The same sky that never brightens. You slept. Somehow. You don't remember lying down. But the place welcomed you, didn't it? Or at least it didn't resist. You rise. The floorboards creak, but not beneath you, behind you. A single board shifts back into place, slow as a sigh. You turn, but there's no one. Nothing. Only your own shape stretching longer than it should on the cracked walls. The shadows here don't behave quite right. They lean in when you move. They seem interested. Your hand finds the edge of a table. And there it is. A map. Not drawn. Burned. Lines seared into a thick piece of leather, stiff and cracked at the corners. A crude sketch, but not careless. Precise in its way. Roads, squares, stairwells, even the bell chamber. It shows the town from above, but includes things that shouldn't be visible from the sky. Inscriptions etched into lintels, symbols beneath fountains, the contents of locked rooms. You run your fingers along a curving path near the edge. No label, just a shape that coils once and ends abruptly. Next to it, scratched deep, below. The handwriting is not yours. And in the bottom corner, almost too small to notice, a date. 1667. The town was already buried by then. Or it should have been. No record exists of a town matching this one. Not in regional archives, not in ecclesiastical records, not in any surveyor's scrolls. But in 1667, a minor eruption of Monte Albano was recorded by a Jesuit priest named Anselmo del Fiore. He wrote of ash like silk falling over the shoulders of saints, and claimed to have seen the ghost of a town appear through the smoke. A place not on any road, not on any map, with towers that leaned inward as if listening. He was dismissed as delusional. You begin to wonder if he saw this place, or if he left this map. You step outside again. The wind moves differently now, as if remembering how. The town feels closer, like the buildings have subtly rearranged themselves, not to block you, but to guide. You follow the coiled path. It leads through narrower streets, the buildings pressing close, their windows blind. Stone underfoot grows smoother, more intentional. This was not a servant's path. This was ceremonial. You see faint markings in the stone, circles, spirals, something like keys. And the houses change too. The ruins give way to preservation. Here, the doors are unbroken. Windows remain shuttered, as if the people inside have only just stepped away. And always, always the ash, not thick, but constant, like fine snow that never melts. Then, a gate, half buried, rusted, but still upright. Two iron posts curled into a spiral at their tips. You reach to open it, but it's already unlocked. It swings open at your touch with the sound of a breath drawn in. Beyond, a courtyard. Circular, sunken, lined with columns that tilt like sleeping figures. At its center, a trapdoor, reinforced, metal-banded. An inscription in the stone just above it reads, "We remember in silence what others dare to speak aloud." You hesitate. The latch is cool, dry. It lifts without resistance. You descend. The stairwell is steep and made of obsidian, not quarried, but poured. A kind of volcanic glass, smoother than anything else in the town. The steps curve inward as you move down, and your own breath begins to echo off the walls in unsettling ways. You hear yourself inhale, and then again, 2 steps later. You stop making noise. The air shifts, cooler, then warmer. You step through a final arch and find the chamber. It is not a crypt. It is not a temple, but it is both. An amphitheater, round and low-ceilinged, with tiered stone benches surrounding a central dais. On the dais, a stone table, not carved, but grown. You can see the whorls of it, as though molten rock cooled into this shape with purpose. And around the room, etched into the walls, names. Not Latin, not Greek, but something older. And beneath each, a handprint. Some are tiny, some impossibly wide, some bear too many fingers. You do not add yours. Instead, you approach the table. It bears an object, small, white, oval. Porcelain, perhaps. No, bone. A mask. It has no eye holes. Just a single slit where the mouth should be. As you reach for it, a faint warmth touches your palm. Not from the mask, from your pocket. You reach in. The map. The one from the house. It's warm now, pulsing faintly. And where the word below was burned, something new glows beside it. Wake. You look up. The mask is gone, but the room is not empty. Something stirs in the far corner, a shape rising from the stone as if poured upward from it. No face, no mouth, just a slow tilt of its head toward you. You do not run. There is nowhere to run. Instead, you whisper the only word that seems to fit. Why? It does not answer, but it does raise a hand. And behind you, the mask reappears, not on the table now. On your face. You didn't put it on. Historians still argue whether the so-called ghost towns of southern Italy, those abandoned not by war or famine, but silence, were emptied by force or choice. Some suggest disease. Others, religious cults that vanished into earth and myth. But one theory, long discredited, speaks of ritual sleep. Towns where people would gather, drink from a common vessel, and sleep indefinitely. One town was said to have succeeded, and in doing so, removed itself not only from geography, but memory. Somewhere between myth and fact, it was called Somnora. The name appears only once, carved into the base of a broken statue in Naples, unearthed during renovations in 1928. The statue has since vanished. The carving was never photographed. But you know now, you are standing where that town once stood, or still stands. Depending on how you look at it, you remove the mask. No one is there. The room is silent. But the map in your hand has changed again. A new word now glows in the lower corner. Listen, and from the ceiling above, footsteps. Not many, just one. Pacing, waiting, for you. You climb. The stairs you descended only minutes before are no longer the same. They narrow slightly. The surface underfoot seems stickier, almost soft, like glass remembering it was once lava. The walls sweat. A slow, mineral sheen clings to the stone, catching what little light exists in this place. You touch one palm to it. It's warm. It shouldn't be. At the top, a narrow hall stretches forward, unfamiliar. You know the gate was just behind you, but when you glance back, there's only a wall. The corridor is walled in tightly on either side. Not straight. It curves gently left, always left. Just enough to keep you from seeing what's ahead. Eventually, it opens. The passage widens into a courtyard surrounded by squat buildings, all identical. Each has a single door. No windows. No marks or signs. But each door is painted a different shade. Rust red, dusty plum, volcanic black, ochre, ash white. One is a blue, so deep it seems to hum in your chest. You step toward it. But before you can knock, or even reach, the door creaks open an inch. Nothing inside but dark. A voice speaks from within, soft and rusted. You'll want the Strada del Sonno. The door closes again. The street of sleep lies behind the blue door. It doesn't look like a street at all. It's more like a channel, a trench lined with old lantern posts and irregular stones, as though it was carved not by hand but by footsteps. Thousands. Millions. The kind that don't wander, only return. Down here, the walls rise higher. Not houses anymore, just faces of carved stone, featureless but watching. Every few steps, you pass an alcove. Each one contains a single bed. No mattress, just stone shaped to hold a body. Some are occupied. You don't look long enough to see if they breathe. You pass one alcove where something has scratched lines into the wall, 5 vertical strokes, then a 6th across them. A tally. Another nearby holds a glass bottle, sealed with wax, containing something thick and green, floating. And always, the same faint sound. Drip, drip, drip. Somewhere beneath you, the town is still leaking. A wind picks up. Not air. Memory. The walls begin to whisper. You can't hear the words. Only their weight. Old words, spoken slowly. Chants. Prayers. Names. You turn a corner and stop. There, in the center of the road, stands a figure. Tall. Robed in ash-colored linen. Face hidden behind a mask not unlike the one you wore. Smooth, eyeless, mouthless. It raises one hand, pointing not forward, but upward. You follow the gesture. Above, the buildings lean inward, joining at their roofs. There's no sky anymore, only a single round opening, directly overhead. Through it, you see nothing but pale gray light. and falling slowly through that circle, a single black feather. You do not catch it, but when it lands, it vanishes into the stone. The figure lowers its hand, turns, and walks into the nearest alcove. Not into a door, into the wall itself. You are alone again, but the whispers haven't stopped. They echo softly from the walls, and now from the beds. Some are speaking in sleep, or something very near to it. You reach the end of the street. It ends in a wide set of stairs, shallow and long, descending once more, not into darkness this time, but into a soft glow, like light filtered through thick cloth. You descend slowly. Each step feels deeper than the last. At the base, another courtyard. This one is not ruined. It is immaculate, a perfect square of polished stone. For benches, for lanterns, a fountain in the center. And in the fountain, not water, white sand, perfectly level. A rake rests nearby. Someone has drawn concentric circles in the sand, freshly made. You hear nothing, not even your own heartbeat. On one bench, a book. No title, only a symbol etched into the cover. A spiral with a single dot at its center. You open it. Blank pages. Except one. Halfway through, a sentence. The sleepers wake when the memory returns. You turn the page. The next line. The memory returns when the ash is stirred. The rest is empty. You close the book. The air trembles slightly, as if in recognition. The whispering stops. The courtyard is still. And for the first time, you hear something else, a distant sound. Not wind, not footsteps. A clock, ticking, then chiming, 13 times, and then silence. You look up. The fountain is no longer full of sand, only ash, and it is beginning to rise. The ash does not pour or spill. It lifts, softly, silently, as if the air itself remembers how to exhale. You step back from the fountain. The surface stirs like disturbed silk, rising in tendrils that twist and scatter. But the wind is absent. There is no breeze here, no sound of movement, just the slow, deliberate curl of ash that moves like thought. And from within it, something begins to form. Not a shape, not yet. A suggestion. The way smoke forms a face only when you're not looking directly at it. You blink once, and it's gone. But the ash keeps rising, drifting outward across the courtyard, touching the benches, licking gently at the pages of the book you've just closed. The rake falls with a clatter, though no hand touched it. You look around. You are no longer alone. 3 figures now stand at the courtyard's edges, each in a different corner. All masked, all silent. One holds a bell. One holds a long, thin rod. One carries a bundle wrapped in cloth, cradled like an infant. None move, but something beneath your skin begins to hum. You feel it most in your fingertips. A pressure, the sensation of being watched by memory itself. And then, one by one, the lanterns flicker out. Darkness settles like a breath held too long. For a moment, all is still. Then, movement. Not from the figures. They remain statuesque. It's the fountain, or rather, something within it. A sound rises. S-H-H-H-H-H-H. At first, it's like wind through a library, if the books had lungs. Then it becomes rhythmic. Not speech, not chanting, breathing. Deep, slow, and entirely out of sync with your own. The ash now covers the stone floor in a thin sheet, erasing the lines, swallowing footprints. When you look down, you see not your reflection, but another face, pale, open-eyed, just below the surface. It doesn't blink, but it breathes, in time with the sound. You blink. The face is gone, but the feeling remains. Something is waking here. You move. The figures do not stop you. You take a narrow arch behind the courtyard, through a hall paved in worn mosaics. Half-suns, sleep-eyed owls, black towers. A pattern repeats beneath your steps. 3 dots in a triangle, then a spiral. You've seen it before. On the book, on the fountain, burned into the corners of the map, now heavy in your pocket. The hall opens into a long room, vaulted and vast, filled with rows of what appear, at first, to be pews. But no altar sits at the front. Only a stone well, sealed with glass. Inside ash. But this ash swirls, moves, responds. You step forward, and the ash pulls itself upward, pressing against the glass like it wants to meet you. The sensation returns. That whisper behind your eyes. You close them, and a voice arrives. Not aloud, not imagined. It speaks in a place deeper than language. How long have we slept? You do not answer. The well sighs. Ash drops, slowly, back to stillness. And beside you now, again, the masked figure with the rod. It taps the stone 3 times. The ash inside the well shifts and reveals an object beneath the glass. A key, long bone white, made from something that should not break. You reach for it. Your hand passes through the glass. No resistance. When you draw the key out, it is heavier than it looks. And warm. You turn. The room is empty. The figure is gone. But a door now stands open at the far end of the hall. Beyond it, a garden. No plants. No soil. Only statues. Dozens. Maybe more. They rise from the stone like memories frozen mid-thought. Each is unique. Each bears a different expression: surprise, grief, serenity, fear. Each one is holding something. A spoon, a comb, a ribbon, a mask. One clutches a handful of black feathers, scorched at the edges, and one near the center, tall, hairless, robed, holds a mirror. You peer into it, and see not your face, but the fountain behind you. Only now, it is full of people, lying still, breathing slow. Each wears a mask. Each holds a key. The mirror goes dark. Behind you, the stone grinds open. A staircase descends again, this time lit with lanterns whose flames are black. You descend, not quickly, not with fear, but with inevitability. This is a place that remembers, and you are being remembered. The stairway narrows as you descend, not in space, but in breath. Air grows thick here, sweet, metallic. You draw it in and feel it settle behind your eyes, like something forgotten trying to surface. The stone around you has changed. Once rough, now smooth, as though polished by centuries of hands that never left. Carvings begin to appear along the walls. Long, looping patterns that mimic the ribs of something ancient. Not human, not animal. Larger. A spiral returns. This time, its center is hollowed, like an open mouth. You step from the final stair and into a chamber carved from obsidian so pure it reflects your shape in triplicate. Not mirrors, not shadow, something else. This is a place that hums. A low tone thrums through the floor, rising into your spine. And then, you hear it. Breathing. Slow. Deep. Not just echoing, but exhaled by the walls themselves. The room is alive. Or at least it was. To your left, a gate. Carved entirely from blackwood, a species believed extinct. The kind once used in the building of funeral barges for dead emperors who insisted their tombs float inland, not out to sea. A detail real enough to remain in certain early Chinese imperial texts, though the rituals surrounding them are now lost. The gate is locked, but you carry a key. You insert it. The gate does not swing or creak. It withdraws, melting soundlessly into the stone. Behind it, air. Not more stairs. Not a hall, but a vast, circular chamber with a domed ceiling above, open, exposed to the sky. Here, finally, you see it. The volcano. It rises above you, wide-mouthed, crowned in red soil and basalt columns that lean inward like teeth. The crater is massive, overgrown with vines and pale weeds that pulse faintly in the wind. Smoke still curls from its mouth. But that isn't the strangest thing. What arrests you is the town, laid out across the black stone, a perfect mirror of the one you've already wandered. Street by street, house by house, a double, preserved, empty, asleep, no sound, only wind through petrified shutters. You step out into the open and feel something shift. The town beneath your feet does not echo. It absorbs. Each step taken is eaten by the silence. You pass a house whose windows are sealed with wax, and whose door bears a sigil painted in dried berry dye. Two intersecting spirals, one clockwise, one counter. Another house has stone shoes neatly arranged at the doorstep, as if left by guests long departed. You find a square with a fountain. This one has no ash, only dust, and in the center, a statue of a woman holding a jar above her head. No eyes, no mouth, only a hole where her chest should be. Inside, feathers, burn at the tips. You enter the structure behind her, once a temple, now barely a skeleton of archways and broken floor tiles. But the walls still stand, and along them, a mural. It's aged nearly to blankness. But under the grime and mineral bloom, images remain. A town, a volcano, a sky filled with birds flying backward. Then, a great sleep. Figures lying on the ground, arms at their sides, eyes closed. But not in peace, in waiting. Then, masks lowered over their faces. Then, nothing. The mural ends in scorched plaster. You reach out to touch it and feel warmth. You pull back your hand. A faint print remains. Yours. To the far end of the temple, an altar. Upon it, 4 black candles. Only one remains lit. The flame does not flicker. There is a sound behind the altar. A whisper. You circle it and find a small door, half-rotted, sunken into the floor. It leads downward again. You do not hesitate. The spiral returns. Beneath your breath. In your bones. This tunnel is rough. Older. Less carved. More clawed. The walls are streaked with soot and gouged in strange arcs. You begin to notice shards of glass pressed into the ceiling, catching what little light exists and splitting it into spidered fragments across the rock. You pass a basin carved into the wall, filled with black sand and a single object resting atop. A Roman-style wax tablet. Its surface is blank, save for one word scratched clumsily. Vigilo. I watch. You hold it for a moment, and then the wind returns, not through the tunnel, but inside it. From far below, it smells of sulfur, and something else, something older. As you descend again, a question scratches at the edge of your thoughts. The town above, and the one below, which came first? The mural offered no answer, and neither do the stones. But you recall one detail whispered in an obscure letter written by a 17th century monk who wandered southern Italy after the last eruption of Monte Nuovo. There are towns that do not burn because they have already died once. And remember dying. No one knows if he meant it as metaphor or warning. The tunnel does not end. It exhales. Stone gives way to metal, rusted iron bones ribbing the walls like the interior of a buried cathedral. The temperature drops, though your skin prickles as if touched by sun. The silence here grows more complete, more deliberate, as if it's being woven thread by thread with every step you take. Then the tunnel splits, not into branches, but into layers. A spiral stair, wide and slow, descends around the edge of a shaft that seems to go on forever. You can't see the bottom, only light, weak and pulsing like a heart through mist. And below it, a sound, a slow ticking. You descend. Each footfall echoes in triplicate, as if time is being measured not in seconds, but in the weight of memory. Halfway down, you pass rooms set into the stone like old hives, square, windowless, long abandoned. But their interiors are strangely preserved. Each room contains a narrow bed, a copper basin, and a tall chair fixed in place before a series of pipes and valves. Some still drip. One room holds a map, drawn by hand. 2 towns are etched on its surface, identical, labeled in 2 languages. One in Latin, one in something no scholar has yet identified. The second language appears only in fragments, scraps found in caves, etched onto bells, whispered through glass tablets buried alongside the remains of people who were taller than us by half a foot and always facing the wrong direction. A fringe theory, still debated, believes these reversed dead were part of a sleeping caste, caretakers of a dream they could not escape. You fold the map and continue. At the base of the stair, the light grows redder, softer, thicker. You step into a circular chamber whose ceiling curves like the inside of a clock. In its center, the engine, but it is not a machine, not in the way you've come to understand them. This is something else entirely. A structure of bronze and blackened glass. Tubes run from it in every direction, some vanishing into the floor, others threading into the walls, pulsing with fluid the color of wine. Suspended in its center is a cage, not made to keep something in, but to keep something awake. Inside, feathers. Hundreds, maybe thousands. They swirl gently, despite the still air. And at the base of the structure, set like an offering, a mask. White, smooth, no eyes, only a mouth, sewn shut with wire. A book rests beside it, not a modern one. Something bound in bark, sealed with ash wax. You open it. Inside, diagrams, notes, drawings of faces. Some are familiar, the masks, the keys, the spiral. Others are less so. You turn a page and find what looks like a recipe. To still the lungs of the mountain. One feather from the backward bird. Blood of the watcher. Whispered names of the seven. And the breath of a living dream. You do not understand it. But the page smells of pine and something that hasn't existed in centuries. You hear a cough. Not yours. Not human. A rasp from behind the engine. You circle it, slow. There, in the shadows, sits another figure. Not masked. Not awake. A woman. Or what remains of her. Long-robed. Her skin mottled with soot and red spores. Her mouth is sewn shut, like the mask, but not with wire. With hair. Long strands of her own, tied in knots too complex to unravel. She holds a bell and a small tablet. You reach for the tablet. Words scrawled in charcoal. We forgot to wake them. And beneath that, shakier. Or maybe we weren't meant to. You hear a second ticking now, not mechanical. Biological. A pulse. The cage above the engine vibrates slightly. The feathers stir. And one, a single plume, floats down. You catch it before it lands. It's warm, and it smells faintly of sleep. You leave the room through a narrow arch. Beyond it, a ramp. It ascends gently, no stairs this time, just a long, curling slope lined with empty sconces and symbols carved into the stone. You begin to notice how often the spiral appears. But not alone. Always paired. Always one spiral clockwise, one counter. Like two dreams turning in opposite directions. Like memory and forgetting. At the top of the ramp, another gate. This one made of basalt, fused as if by heat. A design is etched across it. 3 birds flying downward, one of them headless. You touch the center of the gate. It opens, not with a creak or a groan, but with a sigh. The room beyond is not a room. It is a cavern, vast, deep, lined with statues. Each statue is wearing a different mask. Each mask is the same. There is no dust here, no ash, just silence and a slow breath that comes not from air, but from stone itself. You walk among the statues. They do not move, but they have names carved into the pedestals, not in letters, but in patterns, threads of language that feel familiar without meaning. One of them bears your name, not exactly, but close. The mask atop it is cracked, and beneath it, just barely visible, is a single closed eye. You reach toward it, and from deep below, a sound begins. Not a voice, a siren, low, distant, made not of alarm, but of memory, calling something home, calling something up. You are not alone in this cavern. And the breath that once belonged to the volcano? It may not have been the mountains at all, but theirs. You do not run. Even as the sound rises, long, hollow, echoing like a horn pulled from the belly of the earth, your feet move calmly, deliberately, as if they remember this place better than you do. The spiral continues beneath your soles, not drawn, but laid into the stone itself now, like veins. You pass the statue with your near name again. Its cracked mask, its closed eye. The siren song deepens. And for a moment, only a moment, that eye is no longer closed. It isn't open either. It is simply absent, as if it never existed in the first place. There are doors now, dozens of them, lining the cavern walls, stacked atop each other in strange, tilted rows, like shelves in a long-forgotten library. Each one different. One made of bone, one of glass, one wrapped in lead and sealed with wax so thick you can't find the hinge. But above each, a small, blackened plaque. No writing, just indentations. Thumbprints, maybe, or mouths. You pass a door that smells of winter. Another that hums a lullaby in a language you almost recognize. Then one with scratch marks on its surface, clawed in spirals, again and again, as if something inside tried to trace the way out, or back in. You hesitate in front of a door that is breathing. The breath is shallow, sickly, rhythmic. You do not touch it. You keep moving. At the far end of the cavern, the walls grow closer, taller, and then suddenly break into open sky. You step into what was once a courtyard, a place of gathering, though no voices echo now. Just benches carved from obsidian, and a pulpit made of petrified wood, sprouting fungus like old lace. The fungus glows faintly, blue around the edges, like the dying echo of a star. A few feet from the pulpit lies a figure, or what's left of one. Not buried, not displayed, just crumpled. Asleep, in the manner of those who forget to wake up. On the figure's chest, a slab of slate, carved deeply into its surface. They asked for sleep. We gave them silence. You place a hand to the slate. It's cold, too cold for this deep underground. And beneath it, you hear something. A ticking, not mechanical, not like the sleep engine. No, this is softer, older, like the sound of something cracking slowly beneath years of ice. To your right, a structure that once was a chapel, its roof long gone, its altar blackened by fire or worse. There are no pews, only deep recesses in the stone where people once knelt. Dozens of them. The floor is worn in strange semicircles, as though something round, not human, passed through here often. At the rear of the chapel is an arch. No door, just a cloth, thin, gray, with symbols embroidered in human hair. Behind it, darkness, and the smell of wax. You lift the curtain and find the parish. Not a place, not exactly. A presence, a chamber filled with masks. Some mounted on stands, some floating, some hung like lanterns from the ceiling by long threads of black silk. Each one different, yet familiar. Some are made of ivory, some of bark, some of a material that looks like pressed ash. One has lips, real ones, stitched into the porcelain like a warning. They whisper as you enter. Not words, just sounds, like exhalations in reverse. In the center of the chamber, a circle of chairs. 7. One is overturned. In the center, a single object. A book, bound in the same gray cloth as the curtain, but sealed shut by a clasp in the shape of a spiral. You kneel before it, not in reverence, in memory, though you do not know why. You do not open the book. Instead, you touch the clasp. It's warm. It pulses once, and you feel something pass through your fingers, like forgetting, like silence. And for a moment, you are somewhere else. In a house of red stone, windows sealed, the air thick with the scent of drying herbs and candle soot. Children sleep in rows on the floor, faces covered by linen masks, each painted with the same spirals. And someone stands over them, holding a bell, whispering names. Each name vanishes into the child it's given to, as if sealing them inside their own skin. And then, you are back in the parish. The clasp is cool now. The masks are silent. The book unopened. You stand. Something has shifted. Not around you, within. You are heavier now, as though a piece of the parish has taken root in your spine. You leave the chamber. Outside, the courtyard feels older, more brittle. The figure with the slate has sunk an inch into the stone. The fungus is fainter. And the ticking? It's louder, coming from below. From the statue chamber, you turn back toward the spiral, toward the sound. But this time, the path has changed. Not the route, the stones. Each one is marked now, with footprints. Not yours. Not recent. Hundreds of them. All spiraling inward. All barefoot. All stopping at the same door. The one that breathes. It exhales slow. You place your hand upon it, and the spiral responds. Beneath your palm. In your chest. In your name. That name, once carved in soft stone, now beginning to vanish. You stand before the breathing door. Its pulse is faint but deliberate, like lungs remembering how to expand after centuries of stillness. You feel the rhythm in your own ribs now, slow, almost ceremonial, as if your body is mimicking something much older, something that doesn't know how to die properly. You press your palm flat against the stone, and it inhales. The door does not swing open. It softens, becomes pliable, and then it folds, like wax melting into shadow. The room beyond is warm, too warm. The walls drip slightly, not with water, but with condensation that smells of cedar, iron, and sleep. Candles line the floor in uneven rows, some burned down to their wicks, others untouched, their wax white and thick like bone marrow. No flame lights them now. They glow faintly from within, pulsing in rhythm with that breath. Yours, the chambers, perhaps the town's. The floor is earth, packed, soft. You sink into it as you step. Your fingers brush a small lump beneath your foot, a buried object, slightly warm. You dig gently. A mask, not porcelain, not wood, fabric, woven tightly, almost like skin, worn soft with time. Inside it, the faintest imprint of a face, as if someone once wore it too long or not long enough. You lift it to your face, and for a second, just the flicker of a second, you are someone else. In a town where everyone forgets at the same hour, where the clocks strike not 12, but 13, where dreams are traded for bread. You remove the mask. It doesn't resist. You place it gently on the floor beside the candles, like setting down an old memory you're not quite ready to carry. Ahead, the room narrows into a corridor. You follow it. The walls here are covered in symbols, not carved, but painted layer upon layer, as if each visitor added their own message, their own fragment of the story. Some are spirals, some are birds, some are just teeth. Dozens of teeth painted in long curves across the surface, all smiling, all identical. And interspersed between them, names. So many names. Some familiar, some half familiar, some utterly wrong. Each one followed by the same phrase, in the same faded ink. They remembered too soon. At the end of the corridor, a chamber opens wide. Circular again. Everything is circular here. But this one is different. This one is a theater, carved entirely in descending rows. A deep, stone amphitheater facing a stage of pale marble. But the stage is cracked, splintered straight through the middle like a mouth that screamed itself in half. Above the stage, a fresco, or what remains of one. The image is faded, but the outline still pulses through. A mountain, inverted, its roots piercing upward into a sleeping sky. And at its base, a town, perfectly round, its streets curved inward like clock hands, its people all facing outward, eyes closed. At the center of the broken stage, a figure, standing, not breathing, but not dead, wrapped head to toe in thin white bandages, arms outstretched like a compass frozen mid-spin. Around its feet, feathers, hundreds of them, just like the ones from the engine. They rustle slightly in the still air. You step closer. The figure turns. No motion, just presence, as if it had already turned long before you arrived, and time is only now catching up. Where its eyes should be, glass, opaque, clouded from the inside. Its mouth is not visible, but its chest rises, falls, and when it raises one hand, slow, dreamlike, you see the object clutched in its fist. A pocket watch, not modern, heavy, tarnished, its face split with a fine crack. It opens the watch. There is no ticking, only the faint sound of something exhaling. And then, a whisper, not from the figure, not from the room, from the watch. It says your name. Not quite your name, but close enough to answer to. You feel something slip beneath your skin. A weight. A knowing. Like you've been here before. But not like this. Not awake. The theater flickers around the edges. Not light. Memory. The walls ripple. And for a moment, you see the seats filled. People. Not masked. Not yet. Watching something on the stage. But not a play. A ritual. A woman stands in the center, arms raised, her mouth filled with ash. Her hair floats upward as if she's underwater, though the air is still. Behind her, the fresco burns. Not with fire, with light. And something begins to descend from it. Not a god, not a dream. A shadow, shaped like a spiral bird. Its wings do not flap. They hum. And every person in the audience covers their ears and kneels. Except one, the man with the watch. He stares upward. He does not blink. He does not move. And when the bird touches the stage, he smiles. And the stage cracks. You are back. The figure before you still holds the watch. Still open. Still whispering. And the feathers at its feet begin to stir. One rises. Drifts toward you. Lands on your palm. It's cold. Colder than the stone beneath your feet. Colder than the air behind the breathing door. But when you close your hand around it, it warms. Slowly, like memory returning through a keyhole. The figure lowers its hand, steps aside, reveals what lies behind it. A staircase, descending again, but this time not stone. Wood, old, warped, singing slightly under its own weight. You move toward it, and on the wall beside it, scrawled in red chalk, "Do not wake the ninth." But the chalk is smudged. It might also say, "Do not wait for the night." Or perhaps both. You descend. The door closes behind you. The breath goes silent. And the watch begins to tick. Just once. You descend slowly. Each step sighs beneath your weight, as if it remembers other feet, long ago, long asleep. The wood beneath your soles isn't rotted. It's petrified smooth, like it spent 1,000 years listening instead of aging. The deeper you go, the quieter the world becomes. Not silent, not yet, but everything, your breath, your heartbeat, even your thoughts, feels muffled, wrapped in velvet, softened like the edges of a worn photograph. You pass a knot in the wall that looks like a closed eye, then another, then 10. They do not open, but you can't help but wonder, do they blink? After 27 steps, because you count, without meaning to, you reach a landing. It opens into a long, narrow hallway, pressed between stone like a seam that never fully closed. The floor here is marked, not footprints, scratches, dragged lines, irregular and sharp, like someone was pulled through here, resisting. You follow the trail, not because you want to, because the air behind you is heavier now. As if something is standing where you stood moments ago, waiting for you to turn around. You don't. The hallway leads into a chamber far colder than it should be. Colder than stone. Colder than breath. You wrap your arms around yourself, though no wind stirs. There's no visible light source. And yet the room glows. A bluish, spectral illumination, like moonlight filtered through a frozen lake. In the center, a table. Long, narrow, surgical in shape. Upon it lies a body. Not human. Not entirely. It has the shape of a person, arms, legs, a head, but the proportions are wrong. Too long, too narrow. The skin is translucent, stretched thin over luminous bones. No eyes. No lips. A spiral burned into the center of the chest. Its fingers twitch once, then go still. Around the table are instruments. Not medical, ritualistic, blades with spiral hilts, a basin of crushed bone and dried lavender, a row of silver bowls, each filled with a different liquid, one black, one clear, one red, one faintly green and humming. On the wall, a mural, painted in the same style as the fresco above the broken stage. It shows a tower, twisting, rootless, inverted beneath the earth, growing downward instead of up. At its tip, where the roots should be, a face. Blank, save for the mouth. Wide, smiling, filled with teeth. So many teeth. They look disturbingly familiar. You've seen them before. In the corridor. In the chapel. In dreams. As you stand there, something shifts behind the mural. A creak, soft as a yawn. A breath of air filters in from a crack you hadn't noticed, and with it, the scent of sulfur and ink. You push gently. The mural gives way. Behind it, a narrow spiral staircase, carved into obsidian. The walls glisten like they've been sweating. You step through. You descend again. Always down. This spiral is tighter, hung with chains instead of railings. Each chain clinks softly as you pass, their tones mismatched, like the broken teeth of a music box. You count again. 1 step. 2. 3. Your foot hits the ninth, and something whispers. Not from the wall. Not from below. From inside your ear. Are you sure you're meant to come back? You do not answer. Because you aren't sure. Because part of you never left. At the base of the stair is another door. But not wood. Not stone. This one is made of stitched fabric, pale linen, stained with circles of rust. As you reach for it, the air behind you tightens. The staircase groans above. You press your palm to the fabric. It splits. Not tears, splits. Opening like skin under pressure. And you step through. Into a vault. Lit not by fire, but by memories suspended in jars. Dozens. Hundreds. Each one glows faintly, like a firefly trapped in amber. Inside, images flicker. A child eating from an empty bowl. A woman sewing feathers into a blanket. A man kneeling before a mirror, his own face missing. None of the jars are labeled, but you know, intuitively, that they are not dreams. They are edits, fragments of things removed, things meant to be forgotten, things made to disappear. In the center of the vault, on a pedestal of volcanic stone, lies a crown. But it is not a crown. It is a ring of bone and braided hair, interwoven with black feathers and old teeth. A symbol, an offering, or perhaps a warning. You approach it slowly. As you near, the jars flicker faster. The light begins to pulse, not with life, with recognition, as though the room knows you, has been waiting. And beneath the crown, etched into the stone, here sleeps the ninth. If it stirs, the waking begins. You hear breathing again, but not the slow, gentle breath of the chamber above. This one is ragged, as if something had once been weeping, then forgot how. You turn, expecting a shadow, but find a reflection. Not yours. Not quite. It wears your shape, but its eyes are spirals. Its skin is pale and wet. Its mouth moves, but no sound escapes. And then, just before it vanishes, it opens its hand. Inside, a feather, one of the black ones. Like from the crown, like from the engine. But this one is bleeding. You step back. The jars dim. The vault sighs. And behind you, the door has vanished. No split. No seam. Just wall. As if the room never meant to let you leave. And as you look once more to the feathered crown, you feel it. The ticking again. Soft, but faster now. A rhythm shifting. A timekeeper stirring. And above you, from some impossible distance, a bell, ringing 13 times. The bell's final toll lingers like a bruise in the air. Not heard, remembered. It's not clear if the sound came from above or below, or somewhere inside your skull. Wherever it came from, its echo stirs the vault in subtle ways. The jars stop flickering. The feather stops bleeding. The pedestal no longer seems centered. It's not the room that shifts, it's you. And something behind your ribs begins to beat a little off-tempo. You look for an exit. There's no door, no crack, no curtain of fabric waiting to peel back and reveal the next descent. But the room isn't sealed. You know that much, because it's breathing again. Not the warm, sighing breath of the earlier chambers. This one is colder, thinner, like it's been exhaled 1,000 times too many. You turn slowly, scanning the walls. There, one of the memory jars has gone dark. Its glow snuffed out, the glass misted. You reach for it, and as your fingers brush the rim, the stone beneath your feet gives way. Not a collapse, not a trap, a door, circular, seamless, opening inward like a yawn at the center of the earth. You fall with it. Not fast, not far, just enough to land in another room. One that waits exactly where it always was. 13 doors, arranged like a clock. The room is round, of course. The ceiling is domed and etched with constellations you almost recognize. But they're bent, misshapen, drawn by a hand that didn't quite remember what stars were supposed to do. Each door is carved from a different material: bone, basalt, driftwood, iron, wax, red glass, copper, petrified cloth, mirror, salt brick, lacquered black pine, coral, and one with no substance at all, just the outline of a door painted onto the wall. The painted door, naturally, hums softly. It seems like the last one you should open, which makes it the first you do. Your hand passes through it, and the room behind it is smaller than expected. A cell, windowless, empty, save for a single chair and a mirror on the far wall. You sit, because the room wants you to, and the mirror does what mirrors always do. It lies. You watch your reflection as it breathes in unison with you, then just out of unison, then not at all. Its lips begin to move. Yours do not. Its expression curdles. Yours stays blank, and then it whispers. You wore the mask too long. You blink, and the mirror returns to normal. But the chair beneath you is now warm. Occupied, moments before. The door, painted though it was, swings closed. You emerge not into the room of 13 doors again, but into a hallway that smells of seawater and burnt cinnamon. Its walls are lined with shelves, and the shelves are filled with dolls. Hundreds, maybe thousands, each with their eyes sewn shut, each one different. Some ancient, carved from bone or stone, others modern, plastic, chipped, or burnt. All of them cradling something in their cloth arms: a tooth, a clock hand, a tiny black feather. The air here is heavy with silence, not absence of sound, a curated quiet, the kind you find in an old church, or just after a scream. At the far end of the hall, a door carved from salt brick, flaking slightly in the damp. You approach, but halfway there, a doll falls from the shelf. You freeze. Its head rolls to face you. Its stitched eyes burst open, not stitched shut, stitched sealed. And for a blink of a moment, you see what's inside. Not eyes, not orbs. Spirals. Endless spirals. They spin so slowly, you almost miss it. You almost want to keep watching. But the door begins to melt, and something behind it groans. You rush forward as the salt collapses inward. The room beyond is damp. Too damp. Rain drips from a ceiling that isn't there. The stars above blink behind clouds, but none of them are the same stars you've ever known. Their light is greenish, soft, disapproving, and in the center of the room, a carousel, or the broken bones of one. It doesn't turn. Its poles are bent. Its animals are unfamiliar. Not horses, not lions, not even dragons, but creatures with too many limbs. Spines that spiral, mouths where no mouths should be. Their paint is flaking, and beneath the lacquer, flesh-colored tones appear. You approach one of them, a creature shaped like a bird twisted into a snake. There is a name etched into its base: Mayor Isabel, Year of the Ash. Another says, Reverend Silas, Year of the 13th Bell. Another, you. It doesn't name you exactly, but the face is too close, too familiar. And the eyes? Stitched shut. You reach to touch it, and something shrieks. Not the carousel, not the creature. Something above, something old, something remembering. You step back. The room goes quiet again, but not empty. You feel watched. And as you move toward the far exit, a corridor lit by green lamps swinging gently from unseen chains, you hear, very faintly, the carousel begin to turn. Not all the way, just enough for the creatures to weep. Softly, like children who dream in languages they've forgotten. The corridor opens into a small chapel, or the memory of one. Pews are arranged in concentric rings instead of rows. The pulpit is an obsidian monolith, cracked and steaming. No candles here, just bowls filled with ash and oil. A spiral is carved into every pew. Where the hymnals might be, you find feathers. Black, pale, wet. You sit, because the chapel wants you to. And behind the pulpit, a door creaks open. A figure enters. You know the shape. The bandaged one. The one from the stage. It holds the pocket watch again. This time it's open. This time it ticks. And from the pulpit, it says, "The 13th ring never ended. It simply fell asleep." Then, you are the waking. The room bows in silence. And somewhere deep below, a heartbeat. Not yours. Not human. But somehow waiting for you. You do not stand. The chapel holds you. Not with force, with gravity. With the weight of breath held too long. The bandaged figure steps down from the pulpit without touching the floor. Its feet hover, barely. It drifts like smoke held in shape by something heavier beneath. It moves past you, trailing cold. And where it passes, the bowls of ash flicker, not with flame, but with memory. You see things in their soot-colored depths. A face mouthing something behind glass. A town square filled with clocks, all stopped at different times. Children with spiral tattoos on their palms, laughing without voices. Each flicker cuts a little deeper into the stillness of the chapel. Then the bandaged figure opens the far door. Not with hands, just with its presence. And gestures. Not forward. Down. Always down. The stairwell curves in a way stairs shouldn't. Not a spiral. Not quite. A helix, perhaps. Not just turning, doubling, thickening, braiding in on itself like rope or memory. The walls are closer now. Not carved, grown. Root-like tendrils pulse just beneath the stone, carrying something that might be blood or ink or sound. You descend. Your footsteps no longer echo. They're swallowed mid-fall. The air smells of something ferrous and damp. Not rot, but forgetting. At the base of the helix, the floor opens into a circular atrium lined with mirrors. None show you. They show versions of you, distorted, split, paused mid-motion. One shows you looking older, with white in your hair and lines around your mouth you don't yet have. Another shows you walking away down a corridor you've never seen. One doesn't show you at all, only a black spiral slowly turning, as if inside the glass itself. At the center of the room, floating just above the ground, is a heart. Not anatomical, architectural. It's the size of a cradle and shaped like a building torn inside out. Its outer structure pulses in sync with the faint ticking still lingering from the bandaged figure's watch. Its surface is marked with the same spiral, not drawn but embossed, as if pushed outward from within. It pulses once, and the mirrors tremble. You step forward, not because you want to, because something in you leans toward it. Because the deeper you go, the less you remember resisting. You place your hand on the structure's surface. It's warm, not blood warm, memory warm. It hums faintly, and beneath the hum, another sound begins to rise. Laughter, not from joy, from repetition. You close your eyes, and in that moment, something passes through you. Like a breath from a dead mouth. Like a thought someone else forgot. You see images again, not from jars, this time, but from deep inside. A council of figures seated in a circle around a map drawn in salt. A ceremony where a town is wrapped in velvet and bound with thread. A vow spoken not aloud, but through teeth pressed gently against stone. And above them all, a tower of ash, upside down, buried beneath the ground like a secret too large to burn. You open your eyes. The bandaged figure is gone, but you're not alone. The heart continues to pulse. And from the far side of the atrium, an archway opens onto a bridge, narrow, suspended over a void you cannot measure. The bridge is made of old planks and iron, suspended by ropes too thin to trust. And on the other side, a door. Simple, wooden, the kind you'd find in a farmhouse. A cottage, a town left behind. And on it, your name. Carved, not written. You step onto the bridge. It does not move, but the heartbeat grows louder. Not faster, just clearer, as if drawing closer not to you, but through you. And the bridge begins to hum. Each plank you pass over lights faintly underfoot, glowing with names. Some you know, some you remember only from dreams. Some you don't recognize at all, but they all feel true, like versions of you scattered across time, waking one by one. When you reach the door, the air is still. The heartbeat is strongest here, directly behind the wood. You place your hand on the handle. It is warm, alive. You hesitate, not because you're afraid, because some part of you already knows what waits on the other side. And still, you turn it. The door swings inward, and the sky is waiting. Not the one above the town, not the one threaded with false stars and red moons. This one is vast, gray, heavy with memory. You step out onto soil, soft, dry, warm. A field filled with spiraling rows of feathered black flowers. They bend toward you, gently, like they remember your name. At the center of the field, a house. Small, crooked, the same one from the reflection in the carousel. You walk toward it. The windows are fogged, the chimney cold, but inside light. Not firelight, memory light. And on the porch, a rocking chair, moving, slowly, as if someone just left, or is about to arrive. You step onto the porch. The chair stills, and from behind the door, a voice. Not the bandaged figure, not the child from the street, not your own, but something older, slower, kind. Are you ready to remember? The door opens, and inside the house, a spiral staircase. Descending, always descending. But this time, you don't count the steps. You just begin. And somewhere far above you, in the atrium of mirrors and hearts, the ticking stops. Not because the clock is broken, because it has caught up. The first step does not creak. It sighs, as if relieved, as if it has waited long enough, through dust and storm, through blackout centuries and the hush of being forgotten. The spiral staircase inside the crooked little house is impossibly long. You descend slowly, not because of weariness, though it has begun to sit behind your knees like a quiet passenger, but because of the feeling that speed would wake something better left dreaming. Each step is etched with names. Most are worn unreadable, but some still whisper as you pass. Anselm, Eliza, the last Blightkeeper, and then your name, once more, not the same spelling, not the same tongue, but shaped close enough to bruise. You keep walking, and the walls begin to shift. They lose their shape, no longer wood, no longer stone. Now velvet, black, soft, soundless. Each footfall vanishes into it. You try to look down, to see where the steps lead, but there's only shadow. And behind you, the staircase is already gone. You do not fall. You arrive, in a room without corners. Its edges curve away into dark, a ceiling too high to see, a floor that ripples like oil, and floating in the air around you, masks. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, each suspended by thin black threads. They do not move in air currents. They do not rotate or spin. They wait. Some are porcelain, some bark, some shaped from feathers or glass or human teeth strung like pearls. And each one stares at you with empty eye holes. As you move forward, they begin to whisper. Not words, syllables. Incomplete, fragmented, pieces of names, shreds of vows. You do not know their language, but something deep in your chest recognizes the cadence. A liturgy, recited by the forgotten. You pass beneath them. One mask lowers slightly, drifting within reach. You should not touch it. You do. The moment your fingers brush the porcelain, your head fills with another place. A burning library. Not fire, ash. The books are blank. The people wear spirals sewn over their eyes. And one of them turns toward you, speaks your name. But it is not your name. Not anymore. You drop the mask. It vanishes before it hits the floor. The air shivers, and the masks resume their silence. At the far end of the chamber, a doorway opens. A figure stands in its center. Not the bandaged one. Not the child. A woman. Tall, too tall. Dressed in mourning cloth. Her mouth is stitched shut with red thread. But her eyes are rooms. You step closer, and in those eyes you see a stone tower being built upward and downward at once. A ceremony held underwater, where the priest never breathes. A line of masked dancers in a spiral pattern, each footfall timed to the ringing of a distant bell. And in all of them, the town, asleep, preserved, bound by an oath given by 13, broken by 1. She raises her hand. Something in her palm glows. You do not see what it is. You only feel it. A key, but not for a door. For memory. She presses it into your chest. And suddenly, you are back in the street. But not as it was. As it was before. The sky is clear, green-blue, like spring seen through closed eyelids. The town is bustling, alive. No spiral eyes. No velvet fog. Children play beneath ribbons strung between buildings. Vendors call out prices in a tongue just adjacent to your own. You are standing in front of the theater. Its banner flaps in wind. The sleepers play. Last night only. You walk inside. The seats are full. No shadows. No wax mannequins. Real people. Some wear masks. Some do not. On stage, the bandaged figure speaks in perfect clarity, its face unwrapped. You recognize the voice. Yours. But not now you. Then you. A version. A choice. And the speech? It is an oath. Of binding. Of memory. Of forgetting. Spoken not in punishment, but mercy. You look down at your hands. They are gloved. Not black this time. White. Ceremonial. There is blood on the fingertips. Old blood. Yours? No. Someone else's. You try to step back. But the audience turns toward you. Their faces blur. Their eyes spiral. And the play begins again. You wake in a chair. Same stage. Empty now. Dust thick. But you're not alone. The bandaged figure sits beside you, its hand resting gently on your knee. It nods toward the wings of the stage. And you see the door. A 13th one. Not carved. Not painted. Not even real. Just a frame, hanging in the air. But it hums like memory caught in a storm. And behind it, the heartbeat. The real one. The original. Waiting to be woken. You stand. And the bandaged figure bows, one final time. From its chest, it draws the watch. Still ticking. It places it in your hand. And you step through. Into the place where time ended. And now, might begin again. The frame does not lead to a room. It leads to a hush. A silence with weight, not absence. You step through, and it meets you like deep water. Not drowning. More like being slowly pressed between layers of sleep. Your limbs don't move slower, but the space around them thickens, presses, remembers. Time has no shape here. No forward or back. It is a spiral unspooling, turning inward. There are no walls. Only fog, slow-moving and bruised with color. Mauve, pewter, bone. It pulses with rhythm. And underfoot, stone tiles, each one carved with a date. Some are familiar. 1816, 1347, 79. Others are stranger. 13 by 5. Year 0-2. Thrice harvested solstice. All worn. All real. You walk. Not toward anything, but away from stillness. Until you reach the platform. It is circular. Low. A shallow depression ringed with 12 empty chairs. One is broken. One has a noose laid across it like a ribbon. The others are covered in dust and salt. In the center lies the spiral. Not symbol, shape. Physical. Living. A sculpture, almost stone and wood, polished obsidian and what might be horn. It rises from the floor in a slow twist, marked with rows of ancient letters, tiny bones, buttons, dried flowers, and lengths of red thread. It is not beautiful. It is necessary. And as you approach, something happens. The watch in your pocket stops. Not clicks. Not fades. It simply ceases. As if the very idea of measurement had come to an end. You kneel beside the spiral and feel it breathe. It's not metaphor. The thing inhales. Its surface expands, slowly, then contracts, like lungs carved from silence. Then a whisper. Not from it. From behind you. You turn, and the council is seated. Not mannequins. not echoes. 12 figures, all masked. One in a plague doctor's beak, black feathers stitched with words. One with a mask of mirrors. One with a carved pumpkin, rotting gently at the edges. One wears no mask at all, only a veil of ash. They do not move, but you feel their attention. They have waited long enough. You do not know the language, but your mouth does. Your teeth begin to ache. Your lips shape vowels older than speech. And you speak. It is not a story. It is a remembering. The words do not tell. They bind. They reseal what was unwrapped. And as you speak, the spiral shifts. Its center uncoils, revealing not a core. A face. Yours. But younger. Afraid. And behind it, a second face. Older. Wiser. Tired. Both of them versions you've left in sleep. This is not a ceremony of waking. It is one of integration. The oath was broken long ago. And now, the spiral asks, will you wear the memory? You reach into the center and touch yourself. The face dissolves. So does the spiral. So do the council's masks. Until only one remains. Yours. You open your eyes. You're lying on stone. The platform is empty. The spiral is gone. But something new has replaced it. Soil. Dark, rich, damp. Sprouting from it, 12 black flowers. One red. You pick the red one. Its petals unfurl slowly in your palm, revealing not a seed. A tooth. Small. Baby-sized. But carved. Its root bears a spiral. You pocket it. Not because you know why, but because this is what you came for. You rise. There is no door this time. Only a path. Carved through a forest that wasn't there before. The trees are tall and lean backward from your footsteps. The wind sings faint lullabies, and the path slopes upward. You climb. At the crest, a stone wall, and over it, a town, but not the one you remember. This one is smaller, simpler, newer. The houses are half-built. The streets, mud instead of cobble. There is no tower, no chapel, no theater, only people, sleeping, dozens of them. Scattered across porches, benches, beds dragged outside beneath the sky. They are not dead. Their chests rise and fall. Their hands twitch, faintly. Each wears a flower tucked behind one ear. Black, except one. A child, seated upright in the middle of the square, holding a red one. You walk to them. They look up at you and speak your name. This time, your real one. The one beneath all the masks. What happens now, you ask? The child smiles, points behind you. You turn. The forest is gone. Only mist remains. And in the center of the square, the spiral, carved into the earth, growing, not burning, not fading, becoming. The child stands, takes your hand, and for the first time in the whole long dream, you feel the sun on your face. And somewhere deep beneath your feet, the town begins to wake. At first, the waking is slow, not the rustle of sheets or the blink of sunlight through lashes, but something deeper, like roots stirring beneath thawed soil, like breath caught between memory and motion. You remain still, there, in the square, as the child lets go of your hand and walks away, barefoot, trailing petals. No one notices, or perhaps they remember differently. Memory is delicate here, not fixed, not sharp, not quite yours alone. You are part of it now, not a visitor, a returner. You stand among them, the sleepers, and feel the spiral growing underfoot. Not physically, spiritually, as if the geometry of the world has tilted just slightly in your direction. From one of the low stone houses, a woman emerges. Her hair is bound in wire. Her eyes reflect the sky, though it is overcast. She does not speak, but she offers you something wrapped in cloth. You unwrap it slowly. A bowl. Old. Cracked. Painted in concentric rings, blue, red, and black. Inside, a thick ash-gray paste. You know its smell. Like chalk, like cloves, like regret. You dip your fingers in and trace a spiral on your own forehead. The warmth that follows is not from the paste. It is from being recognized. The town begins to move. Not as it once did. No carts, no market cries, no fanfare. But slowly, carefully, one by one, the sleepers rise. No one is confused. No one cries out. They stretch, murmur, nod to one another. A man adjusts a crooked weather vane atop a collapsed roof. A girl walks backward across the square, counting something invisible in the air. A woman strings bells on black ribbon and ties them around her knees. You follow them, not because you know where they're going, but because they do. They walk toward the orchard, once buried under ash, now reborn. Each tree wears fruit shaped like memory, masks, teeth, keys, clocks. They are not meant to be eaten. They are meant to be returned. One by one, the townspeople pluck them and bury them at the roots. And as they do, their shoulders lift. Their breath grows longer. The heaviness of slumber releases them, inch by inch. You stand before a tree of watches, all frozen at different hours. Yours is there. You do not bury it. You hold it. Its tick has returned, but slower now, like a heart that remembers it once stopped and isn't quite sure if it should trust itself again. You pocket it, again, and keep walking. At the edge of town, you find the old chapel. It's been remade into a library, but not with books, with objects. Each shelf lined with strange relics. A shoe made of wax, a letter written in soot, a lock of hair tied with coins, a wedding ring carved from bone. You leave your red flower there. The tooth inside it clicks softly against the wood. A woman behind the desk nods at you. She holds a ledger. She opens it. No words, only spirals. She gestures toward the back, and you pass through the stacks, into a chamber made of mirrors. Not to reflect, to remind. Each pane shows not what was, but what might still be. One version shows the town crumbling to dust. Another, it becomes a sanctuary. Another, it becomes a seed buried beneath another mountain, waiting for the next waking. You reach the center of the room, and your mirror finds you. You lean in, expect to see your reflection. You do not. You see the bandaged figure, sitting across from you, hands folded, watch in lap. And this time, it speaks. Just once. Not the end. The in-between. Then it reaches forward and presses its forehead against the glass. So do you. And the glass dissolves. So does the room. So does the town. And now you are beneath. Not in darkness, but in the underside, where roots become roads, where memories sleep in bundles tied with string. You walk barefoot along a path of dried flowers, and each one releases a scent, a name, a moment. You hear children laughing. You hear the spiral singing in a key older than breath. You hear your own voice saying, "It's time." And when you emerge, back in the town square, you are not alone. They are all here, awake, smiling. Some wear masks, some do not. Some still sleep, and always will. But the air is different now, open, as if the town has taken one long breath and decided it no longer wishes to hide. And as you look down at your hands, you realize they are not gloved, not marked, only yours, unburdened. The bandaged figure walks past you into the chapel-turned-library. The child skips beside them, and the bells tied to that woman's knees ring out across the dusk. Not in warning, in celebration. The sleep is over, for now, but the spiral always turns. The sun doesn't rise in the way you expect. It swells, as if the sky had been stitched shut and now gently tears, thread by golden thread. It spills across the town in a hush, not mourning, but an unveiling. The streets are no longer crooked. The windows no longer watch you. The air holds no trace of ash. And yet, the memory of sleep lingers in every stone, every breath. You are awake, but never far from the dream. You walk slowly, as if afraid your steps might erase what's been restored. But the town accepts you. It always has. You return to the tower. Only now, it's not a tower. It's a doorway, carved into the air itself. A shimmer between the library and the orchard, where 12 black flowers now bloom without roots, suspended in the breeze. You stand at the threshold. There is no lock, only a single phrase, etched into the frame in a dozen tongues. To return is to remember. To stay is to be forgotten. Inside, it is empty, not abandoned, prepared, like a guest room in a house older than maps. In the center, a bed of moss. A mask, plain and pale, rests atop the pillow. You do not touch it. Not yet. Instead, you kneel. And for the first time, you notice the spiral is no longer beneath you. It is within you. You close your eyes, and it turns. Softly. Once. Then again. Each rotation peeling back a layer of time. The bandaged figure is beside you now. They have no voice, but they hum. The tune is familiar. A lullaby hummed by mothers in Pompeii, just before the sky turned to stone. A song carried by sailors shipwrecked off the coast of Veneta. A melody whispered in dreams by children in towns that no longer exist. You hum with them, and feel your body begin to loosen. Not fall, not collapse, just return to something older than your name. To sleep, but not like before. Not the endless drift of forgetting. This is sacred. This is chosen. You lie on the moss. The mask finds your face. It is not heavy. It is not strange. It is exactly right. And in the final moment before the spiral's last turn, you feel a hand in yours. Small, warm. The child. They whisper, "We'll keep it safe." Then they let go. And everything else lets go too. There is no darkness here. Only soft unknowing. A pause. A breath drawn in, but not yet released. You are not buried. You are planted. And someday, when the spiral calls again, you will wake. Not to remember, but to remind. Until then, sleep. The spiral turns once more, and then it stills. The wind no longer carries names, only silence. You remain, not as you were, but as something quieter, rooted in the dream of a place that once forgot itself and finally remembered. The town drifts back into the folds of shadow and earth, neither lost nor found. Just sleeping. And you? You are safe beneath it. Petals fall like snow. The watches all stop, synchronized at the hour the dream ends. The bells do not ring. The child hums quietly into the soil. And you rest. Good night.